Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our community. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there? And oh my goodness, are you in for a treat today as I'm bringing you another special guest? As today I'm getting to talk with Kristen Diggs. Kristen is the Chief Human Resources Officer at San Diego Youth Services. She's also the 2026 President for San Diego SHRM. And Kristen, I'm so excited to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for having me. I looked at your list of guests and I'm really honored to be part of this group of podcast guests. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored to have you. And I always like to start my show kind of reflecting on, when we met or when my guests came into my path. Some I hadn't met until I actually got them on the show. But for you, I want to see if you remember this. And maybe I could be off here, but I believe we met at 2024 in Chicago at the SHRM conference. Do you remember that?
That's right. In the Volunteer Leader Lounge.
That's right. Because I
Yep.
remember what struck me is the next year we were going to be in San Diego, and I thought I need to get to know Kristen because San Diego's coming up. So real quick, how was San Diego in 2025 SHRM conference, being in your host city?
That was an amazing experience. I mean, SHRM, they give so many opportunities to the host city. And so Chicago was like training and getting
Mm,
ready for it
hmm
and learning from the
hmm.
Chicago chapter.
Yeah.
And then San Diego was really, I mean, our board was in the volunteer lounge almost the entire conference because we wanted to show all these hundreds of SHRM volunteers how great San Diego was and help them get around the conference or the convention center. So I didn't have any time to do any sessions or education, but it was so worth it for all the networking and engagement I was able to do with everyone there.
Yeah, people don't realize the work that goes on behind the scenes to make a
Yes.
conference come alive, do they?
Yeah, no, yeah, 20, 30,000 people. It's enormous.
Yeah, it was amazing. And of course, my brother lived in San Diego for many, many years. And so I always enjoy coming to San Diego. It's 70 when you wake up, it's 70 in the afternoon, and it's 70 at night. The
That's
weather was
true.
beautiful. But I remember having a Petco Field. There was an event
Yes.
there. And
Yes, they did the volunteer leader. Yeah.
yeah, in just the downtown area around I think it's Seaside Village. Is that it?
Seaport Village.
Yes, yes, Seaport Village.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just amazing. Just an amazing, amazing week. I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, we got Orlando coming up. So I'm looking forward to Orlando. So, hey, real
Yeah.
quick, for those who don't know
Mhm.
the San Diego Youth Services Organization, just,
Yep.
just real quick, want to just share a brief highlight of your organization and how you serve your customers?
So SDYS, we're a nonprofit. We were formed back in 1970. So we're about 55 years old, and we actually started as one of only three youth homeless shelters in the United States.
Okay.
Today, we are the only youth homeless shelter in San Diego, but we've
Hmm.
since branched out to where we have about 250 employees working all throughout the county of San Diego. And we have programs and services for any vulnerable youth or youth in need. So,
Hmm.
what I consider it as is like we still have our homeless shelter, which is like the cornerstone of our agency,
Hmm.
but we also have programs and services that are combating the systemic issues of homelessness, right? So
Hmm.
we serve youth ages 0 to 24. We start with the little ones in the school doing prevention and early intervention work. And then we move up the continuum of care. So we're in victim services, foster care, adoption, alternatives to detention. And then
Hmm.
another big part of our organization is what we call our transition aged youth. So those are the youth that are coming out of foster care at age 18, still not ready to take on the world. And so we provide them housing at a subsidized rate,
Hmm.
but they are also in case management, independent living skills, workforce development, mental health services. So we get them ready to launch when they turn 25, so they can go up to their 25th birthday. So really important work, really passionate people that work here. And I've been in nonprofit for a long time, but being in social services and seeing people change lives is
Hmm.
just really a great feeling.
I love that when people talk about their organizations. You use two words that just caught my attention: important work, you said, and passionate people.
Mhm.
And I love that. I noticed that you also on your LinkedIn like to highlight your team members. You like to highlight people and things around your organization.
I do.
Where did that come from? Or has that just been like always part of you?
So I think that's always been part of me. I mean, when I look at my story, I mean, I had a lot of mentors. I'm a big community person.
Okay.
And so I just feel like all my life I've developed really close relationships, friendships, partnerships with people.
Mm,
And I'm really thankful for so many people me helping me get to where I am in my career.
mm,
And I take a lot of pride in doing that for others. I just really feel like my success is my people's success. And so
mm.
I want to highlight them rather than highlight myself. I just feel really strongly about that. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, we have a really strong SHRM student chapter at San Diego State University.
Okay.
My favorite thing to do is hire students that are coming out of that chapter because I want to give them a chance,
Mm.
like I was given a chance. And, you know, somebody that's passionate about HR, passionate about the people-centric world. And I want to do that for them. And I just get so much pride and enjoyment out of watching my people succeed and get to where they want to be.
My success is my people's success. I love
Yep.
that. That is
Yep.
so good. In my book, I talk about moving your career from success to significance. And I feel like when you're talking about your work, it's significant work. And I just love that. Hey, well, I want to hear the story. Let's hear the Kristen Diggs story. Like, where did you grow up? And how in the world did you get into HR and all things leadership?
Yeah, so I'm actually from the East Coast. I'm from Maryland. So
What?
I made
Okay.
a big move to San Diego about 5 years ago. I've always been a community person. I knew I wanted to be in a people-centric type of career. And I went to college. I was a psychology major. I didn't want to go into the clinical side. I knew that right away, but I did want to go into some kind of profession where I was helping people. I was the person who people came to when they had problems, concerns. I was a good listener. And so I just knew I wanted to do something related to that kind of work. And so I graduated from college. I worked in retail for about 2 years after I graduated college,
Okay.
waiting for my in to HR, knowing I wanted to do that. And I was able to get an interview at a tech company in Baltimore that had about 80 people, and it was an admin assistant
Hmm.
position. And I remember going into the interview, and it was such a small company at that time that the CEO asked to interview everyone. So I remember sitting with the CEO, and he was very big on you come into the organization, you find your niche, and then you grow within the organization. And so he said to me, what is going to be my niche? Where am I going to grow in the organization? And I told him they had no HR department at this time. HR
Okay.
was like many small companies, HR was being done by many people in the organization, right? The accounting folks were doing it, the executive assistant was doing it. And so I told him I want to start the HR department at
Hmm.
his organization. And he said, "Well, you know, I don't know if we really are going to have a need for HR."
Hmm.
And that stuck with me, like not in a bad way, but in a way
Hmm.
that challenged me that if I was going to get this job, I was going to show him the value that HR brought
Hmm.
to an organization. And I did get hired. And within 6 months, the chief financial officer saw a need for HR, and she gave me the opportunity to start the HR department at this 80-person tech company. So I was able to build it from the ground up, did a lot
Hmm.
of networking, a lot of work with my SHRM chapters out in the Baltimore area, learning from people, trying to understand what I needed to do to get this HR department up and running.
Hmm.
And I ended up staying there for about 8 years. And then I realized HR was for me, but tech was not for me because
Hmm.
I'm a very big advocate of if you are representing an organization and you're bringing people in and recruiting people, you have to understand what you're doing in the organization because you have to
Right.
sell it.
Yeah.
I had no idea what we were doing, right? Like I know it was internet security, but beyond that, it was
Yeah.
like so far over my head. So I really wanted to go into the nonprofit space because I wanted to be in something that a cause I could get
Mm.
behind. And a really great opportunity came up at an environmental organization in Maryland, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, as an HR manager. And I was able to move there. And I think it was because, I was able to demonstrate not only my HR skills and what I had done over the last 8 years, but also my mission for the agency. I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay, right? Like
Mm.
I knew the Chesapeake Bay. I was going to be invested in this cause and I
Mm.
was going to be able to sell the organization and bring people in, whether it was staff or volunteers or
Mm.
donors or members. Like I was going to be able to stand behind this organization. And I was there for 16 years
Mm.
until I got to San Diego. And so when I left the organization in Maryland, I had climbed really, I'd gone from HR manager to the vice president of HR when
Okay.
I left
Look at
in
you.
2022.
I love that.
I had a really great career there. I was given some really amazing opportunities. And so when I decided to come to San Diego, my daughter's here, my brother's
Mm.
here.
Mm.
So that was my goal to get to San Diego. I knew my daughter's goal. She went to San Diego State University.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um,
Good. Love
so
that.
knew I wanted to get to San Diego, but I was very intentional with the job I wanted because
Mm.
I knew what I wanted to stay with.
Mm.
And the CHRO job for this organization came up, and I knew the moment I saw it on LinkedIn, this was my job. And here
I
I
love
am,
that.
5 years later.
I love that. I love all this. There's so much here. I already have a full page of notes, Kristen. Uh, so you said something about this, and I want to get into some other things here, but you said that I knew that I was going to have to show him the value of HR. And
Mhm.
in my book, Life and Leadership Lane, I talk about, developing influence in the workplace. And if you and there was somebody I was talking to, and they said sometimes you can't tell people, you got to show them. There's people
Yep.
that are listening to the show right now, and I know they're wondering the same thing I'm wondering, and that is I don't know, you have to share everything, but what is one way you showed the value of HR?
So I think, and this is so little, but something that like is etched in my mind
Okay.
is so I wanted to, everybody knows what HR is, right? The foundation of HR. We do policies and procedures. We
Yep.
onboard you. We give you your benefits. But I
Yep.
wanted to show him the business value that it was
Mm.
going to bring to the organization. This was a growing tech company. I mean, like I said, it was 80 people when I started. It was 2,000 people internationally when I left eight
Mm.
years later. So
Mm.
we were growing quick. And I remember the hiring process was all over the place, right? Like managers were doing their own thing. Nobody knew when people were advertising their positions. Nobody knew I mean, it was just a mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember consolidating the process and making the first personnel status change form, right? That the organization ever
Yeah.
had. They had no idea what this was.
Yep.
So I made a PSF and the managers had to fill it out and we were going to centralize recruitment in the HR department. So myself and the executive team knew what was going on and how
Mm-hmm.
much we were spending for salaries and what we were offering and the stock options. And I remember, so my boss was the CFO, and I remember giving my boss a draft of this form that I filled out. And the next thing I knew, the CEO was at my desk saying, I saw this and this is
Mm.
amazing,
Mm.
right? Like from the man that said, I don't know if we have a need for HR in this organization to now
Yes.
complimenting me on what I just did. Like I will not, and he was a very tough, your tech CEO,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I was like, I've made it. Like I have already done something to make him understand the value that HR is going to bring, because now we're going to have a handle on recruitment and compensation and stock options that we're
Mm,
offering. And it was just like, I
I
mean, that
love
moment
that.
was 25 years ago. I'll
I
never
love that.
forget that.
I love that. And that may have been the moment. I always like to ask my guests, was there a moment like when you found your lane, when you found your calling, you said, hey, this is what I was going to do. And you,
Yeah.
for you, I think it sounds like to me, you've always known you wanted to be a people leader. You wanted to be in
Mhm.
human resources. But was there a moment that validated, or was that the moment?
Yeah, I don't think it was one moment.
Okay.
I think it was a series of events, probably
Mm,
early on in my career,
yeah.
that really stuck out to me to say, like, this is where I need to
Yeah.
be,
I
right?
love
Like,
that.
this is my calling. It's about building a function, building teams, helping
Yeah.
people succeed. Like, that's my jam. Like, that's what I'm all about.
I love that. Hey, let me ask you this. You mentioned there's a lot of people, and I feel like this is a common thread for high performers. They always say there are people that helped me get to where I am
Mhm.
today. I am
Yep.
curious if you wanted to share maybe, I don't know, one or two people that maybe
Yeah.
were instrumental in your career development.
I mean, the one person that I always go back to is that CFO of that tech company
Yeah,
that gave me the opportunity,
yeah, that's
because
awesome.
she was hired right. So I came in as an admin assistant. She was hired on very soon after me. And she had experience in other companies. She knew the value that HR would bring to this
Hmm.
growing organization. And she knew that I was interested and I wanted the opportunity.
Yeah.
And she gave it to me. And she could have hired, eh, it's the Baltimore area, right?
Hmm.
We weren't like lacking for candidates in that
Right.
area. And she gave it to me. Like, she
That's
brought me
awesome.
in, and she was a tough boss. I mean, she was tough, and she was going to make sure that I was supported, but I also knew where my gaps
Mm,
were.
mm,
And not in a bad way, but in a way that supported me and
yeah.
made me want to grow even more. And I worked for her for those 8 years
Yeah.
that I was at that organization. And to this day, I still keep in touch with her. I mean, to this day, I mean, she's the one that gave me the opportunity. She's the one that I am where I am today, because
Mm,
she gave me that opportunity. And she was a mother. She had 3 kids. Like, she was
mm.
just this
I
super
love
woman
that.
to me. And I've just always aspired to be like her.
Yeah, it's interesting how some of the best leaders are the ones that challenge you. And at the time, it's
Yes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
this hurts. But
Yes.
they see so much potential in you, and they want to help you. I was watching the
Yes.
women's basketball NCAA tournament, and they
Uh-huh.
showed a clip about this coach that was really just getting into this lady basketball player, and the basketball player at the end of the game was in a press conference, and she said, "I love to be coached," because they were asking, "Hey, what was that all about? All that, it sounded like, it looked like some tension over there on the sidelines." And she said, "I just love to be coached because I'm going to be better because of her."
That's right.
And that's what you're talking about, and I
Yeah.
love that. Hey, I want
Yeah.
to jump in here to some leadership here.
Mhm.
One of the questions I do like to ask my guests is their definition of leadership. There's so many different ways to define it. Everybody looks at it a little bit differently. If somebody said, "Hey, Kristen, what's leadership to you?" How would you define it?
Leadership to me is when my people feel supported and challenged
Mm,
at the same time, right? It's finding that balance
yeah.
between making them realize their potential, and giving them space to step up while also holding a clear standard, and helping them get to where they need to be. I mean, that is something, with my story I learned really early on, right? Like, when you're a leader, you give people autonomy and you give them
Mm,
accountability, and it's the best of both worlds.
mm,
And to me, that's how I am a leader. I support my people, I challenge them, but I will get them to where they want to be in their position, in their career, in the organization.
mm. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I wrote the word balance, potential, and space here. And that's a skill.
Hmm.
You have to develop that. You don't just get that right off the bat. You have to be around the right people, and you have to put things into practice, and you have to go through
Yep.
failure too. I kind of have a
Yes.
love-hate relationship with failure. When I
Me
fail,
too.
I'm just like, I hate it, but I love it because I'm going to be better from it.
That's right.
Hey, let me ask you this. Okay, you've been doing this for a long time, and I always like to ask, we've seen a lot of change. There's just a lot of change, and there's always going to be change. And recently, we've talked about, AI, we've talked about remote work. What to you right now? What do you, as a leader, what kind of are you focused on when it comes to change? Anything in particular that stands out, you as a leader?
Just so I work in social services too.
Yeah,
So
right.
think about really comes from that lens and comes from a lens of we help thousands of youth every year,
Okay.
vulnerable youth, at-risk youth. And so many of the youth that we serve at SDYS end up graduating our programs and services,
Mm-hmm.
and they come back to work for us.
Mm,
And they come back a lot of times as peer mentors or case managers because they want to help the kids
mm,
because somebody helped them when
mm,
they were growing up. And so they want to give back. So we need to be a very human centric
mm,
population, right?
mm,
It can't just be a, I'm going to write you up for this because
mm,
you broke a policy. It
mm,
has to be, we have to understand how to coach people and make their work environment
mm,
one where they understand their sense of purpose and how they're being connected to the mission.
mm,
Because it's just, especially coming out of COVID, I mean, I just think people, the work is so much more to people now. It's their lifestyle. There's so much going on in the world that is affecting them and it's affecting how they come to work. And so we have to provide an environment where we
mm,
are practicing and we are preaching self-care to make sure staff
mm,
take care of themselves and also collective care. Like
mm,
we have to check in on each other and we
mm,
have to make sure we're doing well and how we can help each other because it's just we need to balance driving performance and outcomes while also leading in a way that's more empathetic. I mean, we have to be there for our staff and we have to be there for them in ways that we may not have been there for them before COVID or in different political climates. I mean, it really is about making sure you are serving the whole person and not just the
mm.
person that's at work.
I love all of this, and I've heard leaders talk about self-care. We all know how important that is. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about collective care.
Hmm.
I like how you frame that because it's not just about checking on the person. It's about making sure our community,
Yep.
we're checking on our community and all that. I do have a question around that, and I gave you a few questions before the show started, and I don't think I gave you this, but how do you know? How do you know when you're having success when it comes to some of the things that you're doing in your organization? When you talk about self-care, when you talk about collective care, when you talk about taking care of your people, I love how you talk about how you bring people that's been through the program back into the organization because they know the value. They know they can really help people. But I don't know, what are some different ways you measure success in your organization?
This question was asked when I interviewed for this job. This is the question that
Okay.
the CEO asked me is how are you going to measure success?
Oh,
And of course, the number one answer is, well, I'm going to look at the data, right? Like
of
I'm
course.
going to know what our turnover rate is, and I'm going to decrease the turnover rate, and I'm going to I'm going to increase your retention numbers.
Yeah.
And have we been able to do that? Yes. We also work in an industry that just has a very high burnout rate and turnover rate.
Hmm.
And so our turnover rate is probably never going to be ideal. Um, but to me, that's okay because if I'm going to be that cheerleader for
Hmm.
staff progressing in their career, then sometimes that means they have to go outside of my organization if I can't give them what they need. But at the end of the day, that's great because I prepared them for where they needed to get.
Hmm.
Um, but outside of the metrics and looking at the turnover rate and the demographics, I mean, to me, it's what are they saying on our engagement survey?
Mm,
Are they engaged into the organization? Do they understand how their position and what they're doing is supporting the greater mission of the agency. So it's that double bottom line in nonprofits.
Mm.
It's, yeah, we need to make a dollar because we can't have our programs without money. But also, the other bottom line is what are we doing to meet the mission? So our staff have to know how they're connected to the mission. And that is, I think that's just a culture of um, to me, it's community collaboration and communication. Our
Mm.
managers need to talk to our employees. HR needs to talk to our employees. We need to be trusted. And people need to feel like they can come to us and tell us what's working and what's not working. And
Mm.
that's really important to me because that's what I see outside of the demographics. Because your turnover rate could be high, but like, what are the
Yeah.
reasons between that turnover rate?
Hmm.
Could it be people are going back to school to get their master's because they love what they do here so much that they want to continue their education,
Mm.
or they're going to get their license for marriage and family therapy, or I mean, there's so much more behind the data
I love that.
that tell the story, and that's what I like. That's what
Yeah.
I want to hear.
I love that because I talk about when you move your career from success to significance. Yes, you don't want to stop having success. You want success. But when you are in that lane of significance, you're really helping people beyond that. And it
Yes,
also circles back to around, you're going to have success.
that's
If
right.
you're helping people, it just does. And I just love all this. Man, this is so good. What drives you?
Again, I mean, it's seeing people succeed. I am
Yeah.
just, and I think it's because
Yeah.
I had people that gave me an opportunity in my career. I was a single mom for most of my daughter's life.
Uh-huh.
And so not only was I raising her on my own,
Mm.
I was also growing my career. And I had a village and I had
Mm.
communities that helped me get to where I want to go. And so I want to pay that back. Like, that's what I want now that I am a CHRO and I'm kind of at the top of my career
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Like, giving back and
Yeah.
seeing people succeed is what I want to do. So it goes back to hiring all the students that just graduated from San Diego State. I am a mentor officially and unofficially for so many people and organizations, but that's what I want to see. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see people succeed, and that is what drives me.
I love that. I'm going to talk about community here in just a second, but I was just thinking about I'm writing a new book, and I'm talking about different career lanes. Right? You found your lane, you owned it. Now you expanded your lane. You're multiplying your lane, but the lane you're in right now is a leave it better lane. It's your legacy lane,
Yes,
and that's where you're at. You're wanting to
me
leave
too.
things better. Let's talk about this community for a second. I'm a believer. You have to find community. You
Yes.
have found community in San Diego SHRM.
Yep.
In your SHRM chapter, you're now the president of the chapter. Talk a little bit about that for a second. Like, how's it going for you? Is it what you thought it would be, leading the chapter?
It's a lot of work. That's okay.
Worthwhile work, right?
Yes, because I brought it all on myself.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Um, so the first thing I did when I moved to San Diego was got involved in the SHRM chapter here
Okay. All
because
right.
I was involved in SHRM chapters back in
So you
Maryland.
knew about it and you knew the
I knew
value of it,
about
and you're
it.
like, hey, I'm going to do that here. Okay.
Yep. Yes. And it was so I moved out here in the middle of COVID and I
Ah,
had just gotten a board position on my local SHRM chapter
okay.
right before COVID. And so I wasn't able to do anything with it during COVID.
Okay.
So as soon as I moved out here, got involved with SHRM, I met the board, I made it known, like I'm new to San Diego, this is how I want to connect with people. And I ended up being a volunteer on a committee right away. And then I applied for a position on the board. And so
Hmm.
they put me as VP of communications. And into that term, I started getting um, inquiries from the board and our management association, who you know also, Dina,
Yeah.
about what my appetite would be for maybe being president one day. And, my daughter's, she's in college. I don't, I'm like, okay, I have time. I'm going to do this.
It's a new season.
It's a new season.
That's
And
right. That's right.
yes. And So I said yes. And so I was elected into president-elect, and I had 2 years as president-elect, which was
Okay.
amazing
Okay.
because I was able to shadow Sarah, our immediate past president.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 2 years to prepare. So when I
Yeah.
walked into this role in January, I knew what I wanted to do. And again, it's around the three C's. I have a personal mentor who really helped me with this. It's community collaboration and communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into it with knowing those three things, but also I have one goal in this chapter, and it's to grow our membership to 1,000.
Mm.
So right now we have about 650 members,
Okay.
but we were over 1,000 before COVID. So we've
Okay.
been building back up
Yeah.
post-COVID.
Yeah.
And my goal is to get us to 1,000 members. And
Mm.
so each person on my board, and I have an amazing board.
Okay.
I keep adding board positions because I just have so many ideas. Um, they have That's how they function in their position. Their function is how can I attract members and retain members with what I'm doing in my position. And that's what we go by, and that's how we focus. And it is a focus about providing opportunities, networking, and program for everyone on their continuum of their HR career. So, are we providing opportunities for the students, for the emerging professionals? Yep, check. We had an amazing emerging professional summit two
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Okay.
Are we providing the legal updates and the leadership trainings for that kind of mid area?
Mm-hmm.
And then are we providing opportunities for people at my level? Well, we weren't doing that. So I started an executive community group,
Okay.
because my goal is as we become larger, you have your larger community, but you also need to carve out your smaller community. And so I'm doing the equivalent of employee resource groups in an organization. I'm doing that with our chapter, is to carve out smaller niche communities where
Mm.
people can really share best practices and network and engage and have people on their same level and understand what they're going through as a
Mm.
support system. So I'm just like really jazzed because we're adding so much stuff and people are noticing. I mean, I'm hearing people talk about like, wow, like San Diego SHRM is just
Mm.
really like doing so much,
Mm.
and that makes me feel good because I am and this works to my disadvantage a little bit is I am a person that's like, let's just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Mm.
And if it doesn't, we'll do something
Yeah.
different or take it away. I don't put a ton of thought into analyzing. I just do it and see what works. And if it works, we go with it. And if it doesn't, we pivot.
That sounds like my playbook, Kristen. I love all that. I wrote down one word though, and the word is attraction. As we kind of wind down here, I do want to ask this for the people that are listening. There's probably some chapter leaders listening to this podcast right now. First of
Mhm.
all, that is a huge goal, 650 to 1,000, even though you've been there, getting back to that number. And I believe you're going to do that because of not just your passion and knowing the importance of a team, but you used the word attraction. And I heard this many years ago. You can't chase success; you have to attract it. For those that are listening, share one thing, one tip that you've seen that your organization's doing that's creating this attraction. And I'll just real quick, I was thinking about sports. When you have teams that aren't winning, you see empty seats. All of a
Mhm.
sudden they start winning, and all of a sudden the seats start filling out. Uh,
Yep.
what are some things you're doing to win at San Diego Sheriff? Maybe one or two things, just a tip for those that are listening today.
I talked about this a lot at our strategic planning meeting with the board in January, is
Okay.
that we need to create a sense of FOMO, of fear of missing out.
Ooh.
Everything that we do needs to just be on a level where people see it afterwards if they didn't attend and say, oh my God, I should have been at that event. So we need to level up on our programming and our events and what we offer. And
Yeah.
it's little things like our networking mixer. I mean, we did this really amazing networking game. So people got to know each other and also know the sponsors that were there. And the posts that I saw on LinkedIn after this mixer about this bingo game that we did and how it engaged people, like I'm like, okay, that now I gotta like level it up for the next mixer.
Hmm.
But I mean, that really created a sense of like, oh my God, like I really want to be
Hmm.
in this mixer. I want to be with those people in that room and doing these fun things.
Hmm.
And and that's what it's when you do programs, you make you go over the top with the theme. We've been
Yeah.
doing like a lot of Wizard of Oz themes lately,
Hmm.
and there's no
Okay.
place like HR. And so you take that to like the nth degree and you integrate it into what you're doing. I mean, it's for me, it's really about what is going to create that sense of FOMO
Yeah.
that makes people say, I need to be a part of that chapter.
This is so good. Oh my goodness. By the way, I could have a 4 hour session with you on this right here because I'm very passionate about helping chapters as well. Increase engagement, increase their membership, all of that. I think you're going to do incredible things. You talked about
Thanks.
the looking at the engagement surveys in your workplace, and here you're talking about engagement in your community as well, and that's what it's all about. People want to feel part of something. Okay, I always like to end the podcast with a few fun questions, so I thought I'd just throw a few at you. Okay,
Okay.
so I've been to San Diego. I've done a lot of different things in San Diego, but maybe there's something I've missed. What's a fun thing to do when people come to San Diego? What would you say you need to do this?
This comes from the Maryland lens, also moving out here from Maryland. So, farmers markets, because our weather is perfect all year long, we can have, locally grown produce all year long, which in Maryland, like, first off, you can't, our weather's like terrible. So you're not getting that. And second of all, like, you can't go to farmers markets because you have such a small window of time during the year where it's actually nice outside that you want to be outside at a farmers market. So when I came here, the amount of farmers markets, it's every weekend, it's every weeknight. You can find a new farmers market, and I thrive on that. Like it's going and getting the local produce, but it's also
Uh,
they highlight all the local and small
mm,
businesses, and it's always
yeah,
beautiful out. And
yeah,
that is just such a it's like such a
yeah.
small thing about San Diego, but it's something I didn't have in Maryland, and I
Yeah,
love it.
so good. I love that. My wife would love that. That's for sure. Okay, hey, so I know you're a continuous learner. I can just like I can tell from what I know about you. But what's something you've always wanted to learn that you haven't learned yet?
Okay, this is definitely not professionally, but
Okay.
personally.
Okay.
Okay, so Maryland and California are very similar in that
Okay.
you can be from the mountains to the coast in about 3 hours.
Okay.
And I grew up and it was very much water, beach, ocean centric. So we
Okay.
boated, we went on beach vacations, all of our
Yeah.
events were
Yeah.
on the water. I
Yeah.
never learned how to ski. And and so I had tons of friends growing up in Maryland that skied because we had the mountains 3 hours away in Maryland. And here in California, people are going up to Arrowhead and Big Bear and skiing. I never learned how to ski because my life was so focused on water and beach activities that I wish I'd learned to skate. And I don't know, I probably
Love it.
just saved myself injuries, but I'm probably too old to do it now. But I always
I
wish
love it.
I
I
had
love
learned
that.
that.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to hear that story. It's gonna be so good. All right. Two more questions. I wrote a lot about great leaders or grateful leaders. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful. Again, it really comes back to the community
Hmm.
that I had all throughout my life. From growing up in a very small town in Maryland,
Yeah.
the sense of community was one where everybody came out to the football games on Friday
Hmm.
night at the high
Oh
school.
yeah.
I mean, that's where it started for me. I've just had friendships, partnerships, relationships my entire life and mentors and people that have helped me. And I just feel really grateful. I mean, my brother makes fun of me because he's high powered guy, corporate job, and it's work, work. And I am that plus I want relationships and
Hmm.
I keep relationships from when I was younger, in school, in college, my daughter's friends, parents. I mean, I just am very grateful for the communities that I have developed over the course of my life and how those people have made me better
Mm,
and helped me along the way. It's just, I mean, hopefully I have 30, 40 more years to look back. But as I look back now, I'm really grateful for that. Friends,
that's
family,
awesome.
coworkers, mentors, just
I
really
love it.
amazing.
I love it. And I'm grateful for you coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hey, last question.
Yeah.
Kristen, 10 years older. She's
hmm
knocking at your door right
hmm
now, and you're going to get up and go answer that door. What's she going to tell you?
She's going to tell you to take up space sooner.
Mm,
And I say that because I think I was at a point I really didn't learn that until maybe the last 5 or 7 years.
mm,
I think I was always one that I listened more and I did work in the background. I never spoke up for fear of being wrong or somebody would think that was a stupid idea or somebody definitely has a better idea than I have.
yeah.
And I never put value into knowing I am the expert in HR. Like I should be speaking out because I do know what's best for the staff. And I didn't do that until recently. And it took a lot of coaching actually from my CEO that just retired because he saw that in me as soon as I got to San Diego. Is that, he kept saying to me, you're the expert. You need to speak up. And that is very true. And I wish I had done that earlier in my career
Mm,
because I know how to balance. I know how to say now what I need to say, but also sitting back and letting others say what they need to say. And so I do wish, and that would be my advice too, is that you're the expert
yep.
in your field. You speak up
Mm,
and say, and if you're wrong and you own it and you move on.
mm. That's a wise 10 years older, Kristen Diggs. This has been so much fun. Hey, if somebody heard something on the show today and they're like, oh, she is incredible. I love her energy, or I love the insight she gave, or I want to hear more about this, growth in San Diego SHRM. I want to hear some ideas, and somebody wanted to connect with you. How's the best way for them to connect?
So LinkedIn, super
Okay.
active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Connect with me, send me a DM. I'll send you
Okay.
my contact information. We can have a virtual cup of coffee.
Hmm.
That's why my days are so busy because I just literally meet with people all day long, inside and outside of my organization. So I love to do it.
So good. Oh my goodness, this has been so much fun. I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your
Thanks
your
for having
wisdom, your
me.
perspective. I know some of the things you shared though is going to help a lot of people, and so I'm so grateful again for you coming on the show. It's been so much fun, Kristen.
Thank you, Bruce. I love being here.
Awesome. Okay, I'll talk to you later. I can't wait to share this.